Hi guys, and welcome to FORGE WRIGHT. Thanks for dropping in. If you haven't seen the channel before, my name's Andy. The channel is based around learning to become a blacksmith, starting as an absolute beginner. I cover setting up the forge, making the tools required to start smithing, learning basic techniques, and developing your skills. I also make metal fabrication videos, which can be very helpful when trying to build some of the tools and equipment that you'll need to use in the workshop. So, let's roll the intro and get started on today's video. Righto, just going to put a few marks in here to identify where the corners are. Okay, that pretty much shows me these are the lines I need to follow to weld to. So now I can get the grinder out and clean up a smooth bit of metal there in order to be able to weld to. Okay, as I said earlier, now I can use these lines and these marks to be able to place my guillotine tool on the plate and have a clean piece of metal to be able to weld to. Looking good. Just a bit of spatter protection so I don't have too much cleaning up later, especially down in my tracks. Don't want any cleaning up in there. As you're aware from my last video, I did injure my hand. I've got that nicely covered. It's got an antiseptic pad on there and nicely taped down. And of course I'm then pulling on my gloves so there'll be no heat or pressure on it. I'm not up to squeezing tongs or anything, but a bit of welding is not going to hurt me one bit. Looking forward to when I can get back to doing some forging. But I have this project to finish first, so that doesn't really matter. Right, let's see if we can get a bit of spark. Beautiful. Get a bit of heat into it. Get a bit of spatter, I should say. Anti-spatter. Onto my tip. That'll just help clean up jobs later. Having a bit of trouble with the light that I've got on it at the moment. The extra light means my automatic welding helmet is tripping too early, so I'll turn that off, get a little bit less glare on the helmet to start with, and should be able to see what I'm doing a bit better. I'll clean this bit of spatter off of the anvil afterwards, get the flap disc onto it, get those bits off there. But I will put a bit more spray on there to make it easier to get back off again. It's a few spots, that's not going anywhere. Now I'll do a few more longer runs. There's some good heat in there now. I'm getting very good penetration. You could hear from that crack as to how hot she's getting. That's a couple of those spots on this side giving way. Well, probably one of those spots on this side giving way. But that's all right, because the others are holding it in place. So now I'll come through and I'll do some good runs along here, and that'll hold that down beautifully. All right, let's do a run from here right through there. I'll just have to clean up in there afterwards. It's not too bad. Nothing I can't sort out with it. Do this one. Sorry about that, camera. Do this one next. Whoops. And I tend to cut my wire off right to the end. Then when I come in to weld, I come in and touch and then just pull back 10 mil, which is about what distance you should be away from the end. So you can come in, gauge your distance, pull back 10 mil, and then when you press the trigger, you know you're going to get 10 mil extension and a pretty good arc. Alright, 2 good long runs along here, and she'll be pretty well secured. Then I can concentrate on making sure my shank is in the right place and goes in and out easy. And then we'll think about how we stop that sort of movement afterwards. The idea is I've got it so it just overlaps the outside edge, and then I'm probably going to weld a little bit of a spring steel type thing to the edge of there and the edge of there, which will stop it from bouncing out sideways like this when I'm hitting it. Deal with that afterwards. Just for interest's sake, I'm not a professional welder, but as I'm welding, the motion that I like to get, I use, some people call it an E. It's like you're drawing an E, then coming back and then moving forward and then drawing another E and coming back. So there's always a debate on push or pull as well. So I like to pull. I like to get in here, get my contact, heat up the base plate. What you need to do is make sure you're getting good, when you're getting a corner weld like this, you want to make sure you're getting good penetration into your base plate and then transferring the weld pool up onto the vertical face. So you're spending more time down on your base plate and you're effectively heating up the base, getting a really good weld pool there, and then building that weld pool up onto the vertical face, dropping it back down and building up your weld pool up onto your face, dropping it down, building up your weld pool up on your face. So you're probably spending 2/3 of the time down in the base to get a puddle, and then 1/3 of your time looping that puddle up onto the other surface and dropping it back down again. So I just thought I'd point that out for those that are trying to learn how to do beginner welding. So I'll just bring this around for you. Hopefully you can see a little bit of what I've been talking about there. I don't have a filter on my camera, so I can't actually show the weld pool. But if I bring that in reasonably close, you can actually probably follow where I'm talking about. I've got my wire. So I had a weld along here, I had a weld along here, so I've joined in on here, and you're effectively leading the gun. I'll do it in here, so I'll be coming into here, projecting into this end of this weld here, heating up the base here. Obviously it's heating up this upper layer as well, but you want to make sure you get really good heat into your base layer, and you're building up a weld pool here, waiting for that pool to well up over the top of it. So you're getting your weld up and you're just sort of manipulating it a little bit to get up a good solid pool in here, and then you can creep forward, build your weld pool again, and just massage it up, and then creep forward, massage it up, creep forward. Not sure if you can see what I'm describing there, but that's effectively what you want to do, and you end up with a reasonably good weld. Not all that impressed with that. I'll probably get in here with a bit of a flat disc or the corner of a large grinder and just take that surface off if I think it's necessary, but you know, it's pretty clean once I get that bit of, what do you call it, flag off there. Bit of a wire wheel in there, cleaning that up, it'll look a little bit better. I did drop a bit low there. I could have, this is where instead of bringing it up when I came round the corner, I turned a bit sharp. You can see this, the base of this weld comes out and then it kicks back in again to where the other weld was, and it actually drops down here. That should have been up higher up there. If I'd have stayed in tighter to my corner and continued to push that weld up more, I would have had a better result, but I didn't. That's a mistake there. So it's just little mistakes like that that annoy you, but this will be a much easier run, nice straight run. You don't have to worry about turning the corner, because you end up having to try and turn your gun so that you keep that same angle coming in all the time. We'll give this one a bit of a go. You won't be able to see, so I'll pull this back. So just to make my OCD relax a bit, I'm going to do that little end bit there. Doesn't need it for strength, but for my peace of mind, and just because it will look better and only going to take a few seconds, I shall put a bead along there. There's no way it's going to come off. She's solid, but as I say, it's not going to take long. It's going to look better in the long run, and clearly it will be stronger. Not that it needs it. I'll just tighten up that corner a bit. First, and re-clean that up. See how that filled that corner in here much better. Trim that back. Never hurts to overrun a little bit too if you're in doubt about those corners, because a grinder can sort any excess out, but it's always a bugger when you have to come back in and fill up some little hole because you pulled out too early. Hate doing that. So as I say, I did a bit of extra weld on this corner here just to make sure I filled that up, but I'd rather do that than have to come back in and do some additional welding. You can see on that bottom edge there, there's good penetration. Same along the top edge there. Happy with that. That's not going anywhere. I'm not going to bother doing any welding in there because it's only going to cause trouble and doesn't need it for strength. But here we go. There's my welds along there, down inside that corner there. As I say, there was a little point under there which I wasn't all that happy with. Didn't get quite the penetration I wanted on the bottom level there. You can see there's a blob up high. That was just being a bit unstable. I think I probably moved my hand, my support hand, a bit blobby along there, but the point being I got good penetration in the base and up into the upper segment. Then we've got, like I say, a bit of overweld on the corner, which I don't mind because I can grind that off. And then we've got this run that came down this end, which I think turned out okay. Clearly, like I said, I haven't done around the hardy shank yet, or around the base of there, so the shank's not welded to the guillotine, and the shank's not welded to the base. So that will be next, and I'll also weld up the back of the shank and the guillotine there. And then she'll be a welded on unit, and I'll be happy with that. And as I say, I might think about trying to do some sort of support mechanism on the sides there to stop it from moving from side to side like that once I get this welded into place. It's probably not going to be too much of an issue. It's just not sliding across there at the moment, so I'm going to pull this off and see why that is. Might be a bit of spatter gone down inside there, which I'm going to have to deal with. Yes, as I suspected. Down in here, bit of crap. So that's nicely in there at the moment. I'm happy with the way that's wedged in. And I'll do a bit of cleanup work on here. Yes, just a few small bits of spatter in here. So I just want to clean those out so that when I slide it in, it slides in all the way.
Okay, well these are the tabs I'm going to be using to stop the lateral movement in the plate. I'm going to weld them on both sides of the plate, which should keep it from moving while I'm creating my fullers. These tabs should be plenty to keep the guillotine tool stable and get an accurate fuller, even though they're only about 3mm thick, which you can see here. Okay, well I've just done a couple of tack welds on here. Now I'll do a full run through, which should hold it together very nicely. Well, as you can see now, I finished welding the tabs on both sides of the base plate. This should help to keep it nice and stable when I'm forging, as it stopped all of that sideways movement that I had before. You can see if I grab onto it and give it a shove, it doesn't move at all. The guillotine is also very stable when I lift it off the anvil and sit it on the floor, because I made sure the two tabs I welded on were the same length as what the hardy shank is. So as usual, I couldn't help myself. I had to get in there and give it a good clean up. It looks a lot better now, and there are also no sharp edges that I can catch myself on.
Righto, just about to cut the 25mm 1-inch fullering dies for my hammer jig that will go into my guillotine tool. So I shall start cutting and stop recording reasonably soon, because you don't want to see too much of it. Drop him in the water to cool it off. Righto, so I've started that cut on that side, and now I can clamp that on and cut the rest of the way through there. Job done. Cool both of those off. This is my dies having been ground down, put on the sander, belt sander, smoothed up. I think they're looking pretty good now. So that'll be welded onto there. And of course the other one will be welded onto the top die, which will come down and meet up with that. Let's see if we can have a go at getting this kind of clamped in there. So what we want to do is put one on top, one on the bottom. Give myself enough room to see what's going on. Get a clamp. Pull that out. I'm trying to do it where you can see it, but that means that they're now both have to be hard up against each other. Get that nice and solid in there. Right, so then that will be put onto there. That'll be drop down into there. Then I'll just secure that like that. And all I have to do from that point on, other than tack it, is make sure that when I pick this up, this one's okay, but this top one, have to make sure that when I pick it up, it does clear these. So I'll have to draw lines down here, because it does look like it needs to go that way just a tad. Let's try and put a weld on the top first. Right, is the bottom still in place? Yes, it is. Let's see if we can get a couple of welds on there, eh? Just want to show the fact that I've now got my dies welded together. Didn't bother showing the welding, but as you can see, they join up, I think, very well enough for my purposes. I'm very happy where I've got to now. That's pretty well the finished unit, other than this top die needs to have my striking bar welded to the top of there, and I won't be using any of it until I've heat treated it. These forklift tines need to be heat treated, but as you can see, that should work well. We've got 25mm and a reasonable radius on both of them, I think. Some may disagree. Let me know if you do, whether that's not appropriate or I could have done something differently. Always happy for some advice and opinions. Might not always agree or listen. Well, sorry, I will listen. Might not always agree and follow your directions, but always happy to hear opinions, especially from people who have done this sort of stuff before and know more about it than what I do. Okay, can leave it there now, and I will probably do my next video when I get my hand fully recovered and I can squeeze my tongs. I'll light the forge, heat treat these dies after welding on a striking bar across the top, and get a bit of steel hot and see if we can put a decent fuller in it. Don't know whether it will be a hammer blank straight up. I'll probably test them out on something smaller until I start the hammer project. Rightio, that's that for now. I shall say thank you very much for watching Forge Wright. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit that button and maybe like and share with your friends. And also check out some of the other videos that I have on my channel. Okay then, thanks for watching Forge Wright, and bye for now.